everybody. I'm Cassidy, one of your Indianapolis Colts cheerleaders, and you're watching the Believe in Colts podcast.
Welcome back to Believe in Colts. I'm Lawrence Owen. With me, as usual, are my guys Gerard Powers and Rodney McLeod, and we're coming off a pretty disheartening loss to the Washington Commanders, where in which we had a lot of stuff to discuss. Right, there was some self-inflicted wounds again, as we generally talk about on a week-to-week basis. It seems like this year, self-inflicted wounds, which ended up costing the Colts a victory. But overall, Gerard, what do you think of the game this past Sunday?
I know. I mean, we talked about it being a defensive battle. I mean, that's what it came down to. I mean, at the end of the day, when it's low scoring, tight games like that, normally it's gonna come down to that last drive, and it's basically between what defense can make a stop at the end, and it was just one of them games. I felt so bad, just as a former player and knowing how those type games can be and how it ended up. The way that it did, man, I felt horrible because, those guys on the defensive side of the ball played extremely hard, played good enough to win. Well, really not good enough to win because obviously we didn't. But at that same token, we played winning football at the end of the day. But, I mean, sometimes games go like that, close games, last minute type situations that happen. Offensively, a little better rhythm, still turning the ball over, a little bit. So, I mean, that still was the theme that continued this whole season. But I did think that Sam competed well. I think that he at least showed that, he can play on this league. He can play at this level, and he can, be the starting quarterback going forward. But we definitely wanted to win that one. It was just heartbreaking the way that we lost.
Yeah, Rodney, how's your feelings after the game, man? Because I know it's got to be disappointing, right? After the effort that you guys put out there.
Yeah, it was, that one was hard. I think for us as an entire team, particularly defensively, to play well for majority of the game, and now the ball is kind of in your hand to close it out, and we wouldn't want it any other way. And we didn't make enough plays on that last drive when they had the ball. And obviously, man, tough grab by McLaurin. I mean, Gilly's right there. I mean, I think, shoot, if I were a betting man and Gilly's put in that position again, he comes down with it. But that's another great player, and you got to tip your hat to him, and also Heineke, man, for extending plays and finding his guy. So it was heartbreaking. It was hard for me to even watch the game, to be honest. I'm a guy who likes to watch the game, afterwards, that evening or night. But I couldn't stomach it, to be honest with you. It was one of those type of games where you felt like, man, everything seemed like it was clicking. The offense, found their rhythm. They hit their stride. We got some momentum. And 7 minutes left, we're up 16-7. And it's looking like it's going to be a celebration when we get back in that locker room. And the opposite, it was complete silence, man, just in shock, really, of what happened. And now, what I'm saying, I'm feeling better. My heart obviously was hurting the past couple of days, but you know how it goes, man. It's a 24-hour rule. Got to move on. You got to clear your mind and prepare for the next opponent, because it's the same mindset. I was talking to Matt Ryan about it. Regardless of success or failure that you have, that previous week, you got to reset. What I'm saying, and prepare yourself for the next opponent. Yeah. Whether you're coming off a great victory, you can't get too high on yourself and think that you got it, because you never have it, or whether it's a disappointing loss, the way that we had in closing seconds of the game, you got to pick yourself up off the ground, man, because nobody's gonna feel sorry for you, and get ready and figure out how you can get a win going into this next Sunday.
Speaking of this Sunday, it's another week of betting, and basketball is back. BetOnline remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup info, player news, and game trends on Bet Online. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. Always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, even golf. Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your rewards. BetOnline, where the game starts. I wanted to jump in real quick because there was there was a little spot in the game where you and another defensive player had a little bit of an altercation, and you talk about it. Cameras miss nothing, and I was just wondering if you would like to let the fans out there know a little bit what was going out there on the field, what the heated discussion was going on, and stuff like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, you get into the game, and you're obviously out there to win. And I think one of those, Bobby. That's my little bro, man. Very very good player, as we all know, heavy hitter for our defense. But time to time, we have a lot of those moments throughout the season thus far. Where we don't see things necessarily the same way. And we gotta iron it out. He's a guy. He's a prideful guy. He's from Stanford. I'm a prideful dude. I'm from Virginia. So we both feel like nobody's trying to give. But in that moment, it literally was just about communication, making sure we was all on the same page. And it obviously, I mean, we won that down. But it's just heat of the battle, man. You get out there, emotions are running high. We're all trying to win, and we just want to make sure. Look, there's no margin for error, right? The way that we're playing right now, and defensively, like, we understand that. So we can't have any mishaps, any misops, and so that's all that was, man. At the end of the day, it was a few seconds later. It was like, man, I love you, bro. It's all love here. We good. Everybody's just what I'm saying, just trying to win, dog, and it was cool.
Man, that's
No Draymond,
no,
man. No Draymond.
That's what I was about to say. I was about to say,
we ain't doing none of that.
Coming off the Draymond, but man, if the cameras could catch more of those situations, those little arguments on the sideline, it wouldn't even be a big deal now about stuff like that happen. It happens all the time. But the one thing I will say that's a positive when you see things like that is, it wasn't like, it was 49 points given up on the defense, and we got guys out there arguing, trying to figure out what's going on. We're talking about a defense that was playing pretty dominant, and guys are still passionate about going out there and making sure everybody's doing their job the correct way. So it's always a good problem to have, especially when you're playing good ball. It just shows that the players care.
Absolutely. You know what? There was we was talking about, those last two drives where, the defense gave up the 10 points and ended up losing the game. But of course the Colts offense didn't move the ball either. But here's something that is big time noticeable to me. That the pressure wasn't quite there the last couple drives, and it seemed like after Ty went down with that knee injury that a lot of the gas came out of that defensive line. How important has Tyquan Lewis been stepping in for Kwity Paye this offseason, or this season right now? And what's his loss? How does that affect the defense moving forward?
Yeah, Tyquan's a hell of a player for us. And man, my heart goes out to him. I've been in that position where, you battle back from one injury, and, injury occurs on that following season, right? And the opposite knee. So I've lived that, and just keep him uplifted and encouraged, man. And he's meant a lot to our defense. Very versatile D lineman, can play outside, can play in the interior on third down situations to create a matchup issue, versus a guard. He has that skill set, man, and ability. And so, when you lose someone like that, it's hard to replace. But, that's the good thing about creating depth, right? Not having, we missed Kwity for some time, but now he's getting close to, returning and coming back and being that player that that he was, for us before the injury. And then you add, Ben and Dio and Fadi and all those guys. And guys have been getting a lot of playing time, man. So it's a next man up mentality right now. We're going to ask them to increase their rep count, be, productive for us the same way that Ty was. And not only in the passing game, but also Ty was very effective in the run game as well. So, it's a missing piece. It happens a lot in the league, unfortunately. And this is where somebody else gets the opportunity to shine, man. But like I said, Ty was an incredible player, and hoping that he makes a speedy and healthy recovery.
Hey, Gerard, I got a question for you. The firing of the offensive coordinator, Gerard, today, literally like right before the end of the trade deadline. In your past experience, is that a bad sign when a move like that happens, like right in the middle of the season?
The only way I would put it as a bad sign is like we're in a position where we got to show some urgency to get things figured out on that side of the ball. So normally, when moves like this happen, it's coming from top down. So I'm pretty sure it's coming from Ursay and going down the ladder or whatnot. And when you've been kind of inconsistent on the offensive side of the ball, and then the record is what it is, and like you say, it's a lot of pressure on. Like we talked about it a few pods ago, to where it's a lot of pressure on certain guys in the building to make sure that this team performs at the level that it needs to perform. So once you start seeing coaches getting fired and things like that within the season, it just shows you that the whole front office is trying to show a boost of urgency to try to figure this thing out before it's too late at the end of the day. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was the OC's fault, the reason why, things are the way they are, because I'm pretty sure he's not the one that's calling plays at the moment. But, normally when you're having, guys lose their job, especially in the middle of the season, it's not a great sign on how the team's doing, but it's also a sign of urgency, trying to figure it out, because we're still in the thick of it. I mean, I know we lost this past week, but it still don't I guess change the fact that we still got a lot of football to play, and still in the middle of where we need to be as far as making it to the playoffs.
Okay. Okay. There was a lot of questions about that, actually. The OC's not the one calling plays. What is a scapegoat? That word's been thrown around quite a bit. But
I think it's just more of the situation. I don't want to say it's a scapegoat. Like you say, it's not just one person, that got all the problems. But what it does do, in my opinion, is just put more of a microscope back on Frank, because now it's not going to be any other person you can kind of point the finger to, or whatever the case may be. But I don't want to necessarily look at the firing as a scapegoat, like this is the reason why the offense, hasn't performed at the level. I mean, everybody got their hand in it at the end of the day. But when you're losing games, when things kind of been up and down a little bit, at some point, people are going to start making moves and trying to, like I said, get this thing figured out.
absolutely, Rodney. I meant to ask this last week. I never really got to it, being there was so much to discuss. But with the Colts moving on from Matt Ryan midseason, there was quite a few veteran players that came to the team, uh, because Matt Ryan was grabbed to be the quarterback, or at least was one of the reasons why they came in. And now that they have moved on from Ryan and have Sam Ehlinger now listed as the starter for the rest of the season, I know you can't speak for the other veterans on the team that came in this past off season, but just in general, what's the mindset now moving forward with the new quarterback?
I think the mindset is you support, who's ever QB1. You support who's ever at any position on the
Yep.
team, right? Because as we know, nothing is guaranteed as you go into a season, right? Like injuries occur, changes happen, and it's a part of the game. And nobody necessarily signed up. You signed up to be a part of the team, and you do whatever is best for the team. And so, every player that we have, from starter down to the third string or the third spot, what I'm saying, backups, like you support everyone the same way. And it's a brotherhood and we're in this together at the end of the day. So for us, nothing really changes. The mindset is, championship. The mindset is uh, getting a seat, a ticket to the dance, into the playoffs. And so if, we feel as though Sam gives us that best opportunity at this time to do that, then we support him and we support everybody the same way and we rally for him. And, coming off this game, it was disappointing because I felt Sam played very well in his first outing as a starter. I think as the game went on, you saw his confidence begin to grow. He looked a lot more comfortable moving in the pocket and finding guys, and you felt, what I'm saying, the momentum, shift towards us, and it was just unfortunate that we as a defense kind of let him down and let the offense down and didn't allow him to get his first victory. But hoping that this Sunday, man, he'll be able to go ahead and get his first win as a starter.
Gerard, is there anything you want to discuss about this past game or anything that transpired from it?
Nah, I mean that's pretty much the gist of it. I mean everybody know where we're at in the season. If there's one thing I would ask Rodney is just coming off a loss like that, close loss, a loss that we feel like we definitely should have won. You mentioned that in the locker room it was dead silence. What was the message once the leaders started to talking about moving forward and how you get over a loss like this? Because this type of loss can hurt the team. When I say hurt the team, I'm talking like more so emotional. Like this one you can feel for a long time because everybody knows how hard it is to win in this league. And when you got certain games like in the grips of your hand and it slips out at the end, it kind of can be devastating. So what was the message going forward on how to get over this hump?
Really, the message was, we honestly felt as though, we beat ourselves, and the leaders on the team, the guys that we rely on, we have to do better. And I think, the message was given to us by Zaire Franklin, and him really taking on and feeling as though the defense was responsible, for what happened. And, we don't take that lightly. We're a prideful defense. And, we understand that in those moments, man, we have to close the game out. Right now, we are the backbone of this team. And for us to now have that opportunity, at the end of the game, the way that we want it, we got to find a way to finish. And so moving forward, I think, going into the team meeting, it really just came down to how do we focus on the details and being critical of ourselves in all facets when it comes to technique. What I'm saying, are we being disciplined in a lot of areas? Because that's ultimately what it comes down to. Just looking at the tape, we just were undisciplined at the wrong times, and I'm speaking defensively specifically. And I think that message was poured into us as a team collectively. But we just have to we have to be better there, knowing that margin error is small. So just focus on the little things this week, lock back in, man, and get on the road and get a win.
All right, one last question from me about not necessarily the game, but today, the 4 o'clock deadline. What's it like for a player as a trade deadline goes down and rumors are starting to spread? I know you guys try to avoid that kind of stuff, but
Yeah.
you teams are calling other teams, talking about possibly moving players and stuff around. How do players deal with that? Do they just do their best to just be like, no, that's not really part of what's going on in my life?
I know from my experience, I mean, you definitely hear the rumors when you're talking about being traded. Sometimes it can come out of left field. and you might not see it coming, but a lot of times your agent is going to be involved in some of those talks anyway. So for most, you kind of know what's about to happen or got an idea if it's going to happen or not. But as a player that's not about to get traded or not involved in the rumors, I mean, it's day-to-day business, man. I mean, at the end of the day, until somebody tells you different, you go about your job and your routine, you know, as you would any other day. So it's something that I think every player kind of understands is just part of the business. You might wake up one morning and your locker neighbor might not be there, you know, whether it's being cut, whether it's being traded or hurt or whatever the case may be. So as a player individually, you just kind of just focus on what you can control, and everything else, you know, you just know it comes with the territory.
Okay. Okay. That's good information. Thank you. Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode, where we kind of just went over the loss to the Washington Commanders. That was a tough one.
Very tough.
It was the one game this year. I felt like the Colts. I felt like as a team, the Colts really. This was the game that they outplayed the opponent and should have won, and they let it go. You know, and it hurts. It hurts. But hey, like Rodney said, it's just time to move on and prepare for the next game. And that's a hated rival for just about every team in the NFL. Thanks everybody for watching. This was Believe in Colts, brought to you by Bet Online. I'm Lawrence Owen, and that is Gerard Powers and Rodney McLeod. And as usual, go Colts.
Do you believe?